This is I Love Black People Radio on HUR Voices, Sirius XM Channel 141. I Love Black People is more than a radio show. I Love Black People is a call from our ancestors to protect us from racial profiling all across the world. Go to iloveblackpeople.com and become a member today. Membership empowers you to live fearlessly and protect Black people globally from racism and xenophobia. Join us today and become a member of our global network with an online global green book with Black-owned and Black-friendly businesses to protect you and your community. Membership is free, and with you, we will become 10 million strong worldwide. I am because we are. Special thanks to Aflac for supporting I Love Black People Radio.
Greetings, I Love Black People community. Welcome to another episode. Appreciate everyone and all their support, and definitely thanks for this wonderful opportunity to talk with you. Got a lot going on. Wanted to kind of get everybody up to date with what's been happening. I know this time of the year, second quarter, trying to make sure that we got the first quarter right. We've been busy with the startup. I Love Black People. I know some of you follow us through, XM radio, so you're looking at it from just a radio, but this community is really powered by technology. So our foundation, I'm co-founder of I Love Black People, which is literally a global safety net that we're building to protect Black people worldwide from racism and xenophobia. And we use the model of the Green Book, the original Green Book by Victor Green that was from 1930s to the 1960s, that actually helped Black folks navigate racism throughout the Jim Crow era or apartheid era of the United States. And as we know, with so many things that happen and continue to happen, we still are dealing with issues of making sure that we're safe. And, one of the things that sometimes becomes a misnomer or gets confused about the original Green Book, many people think it was a way to circulate the Black dollar. And the truth is, it literally was a survival guide. It actually was making sure that we didn't get killed, valuing our behinds more than our pocketbook, as it were, meaning that it was definitely more important to make sure each of us were safe. And it did so by having folks submit recommended places through the mail. Now, we made that process a lot more easier. You don't have to send us via mail your recommended places that are Black friendly to I Love Black People. You can just download the app, I Love Black People Safe Places, and then you can use that app to upload. And that's a part of one of the great things. We're actually doing a major upgrade of the app. Should be coming to you, I'd say late summer, probably by the end of the third quarter, we should have it up and running. So third quarter in September. So if you keep your eye on out, we definitely have our current beta version operating, where people have been giving us great feedback. Thank you so much. We wouldn't have been able to get where we are without your support, but we definitely need more people to continue to submit recommended safe places. One of the things with a platform like this, and it actually happened with the original Green Book, original Green Book was quite thin. It didn't have as many recommendations in it. And so the same thing goes with this type of platform where, when people come, our focus is leveraging as many of our amazing minds of our members all over the country to give us that support. Because I've had people ask, well, how do you know if it's Black friendly? I try to say this is really more like something we currently do without a app or platform. If you were to travel to Washington, D.C. and say, what's a good restaurant to go to? I'm going to give you a restaurant that's Black friendly. Okay. So it's not that we have to have somebody with a PhD in Black friendliness, but we as a community are already informally sharing information. Well, suppose you're not a part of the relationships I have. I went to Tuskegee University, Howard University. I'm a member of fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi. Like, suppose you don't like the Kappas and didn't go to HBCU. Now, you should have as much of an opportunity to find awesome places in DC as anyone else has. So what we really think is a matter of taking what we already do informally digitize, allow people in a much easier fashion than sending recommendations through the snail mail, to be able to use an application to do so and use that as a background, as a foundation to build a global safety net. And unlike the original Green Book, our focus is not just on places to eat, places to sleep, and transportation. We expanded the vision of Victor Green to include, healthcare. One of the things that we learned in a very real way is that during the pandemic, the exposure and risk that we have as a people to being harmed through the healthcare system. So again, the original concept of the Green Book was about travel, but travel is just one form of vulnerability. Like there's many other situations where you're going to be vulnerable, and you're going to you need to make sure you have some good information. And I always tell my folks, in order to make good decisions, you need good information, and good information is accurate, relevant, and timely. We want to make sure that you have that information when you're in your most vulnerable situation. And again, that could be you traveling in a place where you've never been before, or it could be you get sick and you don't know where to go to get help. And this is a good source for that. So we definitely want people to recommend healthcare. That's one of our biggest areas that we want to improve on, making sure no matter where in the world our people are, that they can identify places that have been recommended by our members that are Black friendly as it relates to healthcare. Another big area is legal. Again, when you're being targeted by a racist law enforcement or any type of law enforcement, you want to make sure you have access to people who can defend you or represent you, that don't predispose you to be guilty or otherwise. And that could be in the United States, it could be any place in the world. So one of the other key areas is making sure our people have proper representation as it relates to legal. So those are two, I could go on. We have beauty, we have finance, we have education / childcare as also areas. So it's a total of 8 areas that we're focusing the Green Book experience that we created with our app, I Love Black People, Safe Places. But we definitely want to make sure you're clear that we need as much support that you can give us in order to make sure that the places that are represented on our application actually are the places that our people are traveling and definitely are going to be able to utilize. And then you do that, again, it's free access to this information. We never charge our people, Black folks, to be safe from racism and xenophobia. But what we're able to do with this platform is literally bring our people together, and not just as a foundation and creating a safety net, if you will, but also give us a way to develop some of these key systems. When we start talking about childcare, we want to make sure that when you are somewhere, you're not sure, you just had a baby and you're now exploring what that means and have access to good childcare. We want you to have folks in your community that are people who have a lot of knowledge in that. And so we're also developing ambassadors that have a background in this concept of collective work, where we can literally take this information about, a safety net and make sure you can apply it to the different verticals that you might need your help in. Like I said, childcare might be one of those. So again, you don't want your child being exposed to people that harm them. We want people to help us identify these places, share that information, and then build on that. We could actually create our own global school system. If we ever, some of the preconceived understandings of how we relate as a people has been done out of a system of oppression that's problematic. Of course we need a land, of course we need spaces, but in real ways we can leverage the spaces we currently have and use technology to network us and pull us together in even like a homeschool situation. Again, oftentimes we think of homeschool and there's different people who think differently about homeschool, but we could actually leverage innovation to improve any of those systems. And we got to have our own healthcare system where we have a network of hospitals, doctors, and clinics that have been recommended as being Black friendly, so that we can have access to those institutions in ways that give us the kind of support we need. And so, when people tell us that, a lot of the problems we need is based in finance, and they sometimes misunderstand when we say recommend businesses as if our focus is on making sure people have the dollar circulate in our community. having a dollar circulates is awesome. But I always try to bring up Tulsa, Oklahoma was a place where Black folks were doing quite well financially, but they weren't safe, and so we need to be very clear that the number of billionaires in the world are not going to probably change much of the circumstances of the masses. The majority of us are going to have to make our way through the world working in ways that probably a little bit more robust than that. And we traveled the world, and I will also say this: some of the wealthiest people have not necessarily been the most friendly people, and some of the most friendly people that actually had to work together to survive were the folks that may not have a lot of money in their pocket, but they had a lot of joy and love in their heart for humanity. That was kind of high. I like that little, a lot of love in their heart. And I think that's probably the key part of this that we're missing sometimes when we have these conversations about, Black or businesses that are, talking this financial talk. We probably need to bring a expert on capitalism and socialism to help us have a better understanding. But I'm clear that if we look at the history of capitalism, 500, 600, you can talk about the Magna Carta and all these things. It hasn't boded very well for the masses of the world. The majority of the world has not benefited from the system as it relates to quality of life and some of the horrific things that have happened to human beings over the last several hundred years under these, colonial constructs that definitely were driven by pursuit of capitalism. So again, our platform is not about businesses as it relates to making money. They're about us being able to identify safe places where we'll be treated with dignity and respect. And we identify those places as Black friendly, and that Black friendliness is based on a perspective of our members. And our members, again, we have over 100,000 members worldwide, and we're thankful for all their support. We couldn't build a crowdsource platform like this. And we say crowdsourced because the information comes from a collective. We don't have two experts that are actually doing all this. We definitely do vet and go through the information. Much of it is based on making sure there's duplicates, misspelled words, and just identifying some of these places. But when I say that, if it wasn't for the crowd of folks helping us, we wouldn't be able to do that. And I think that kind of leads us into the next things. Besides us coming out with a brand new version of our app in the late summer, please continue to download the current app on iOS and Android. But we also are talking about leveraging the same space to build out for many of the working community people. As some of you might know, we definitely do a lot of work and been getting some support in making sure that we see this directory of Black friendly spaces is given access globally. And one of the platforms we're looking at developing that around is really with some of these insurance businesses and brokers. Aflac, which is a supplemental insurance, has been super, super supportive of us. So shout out to them. And we're looking at actually making sure as many business locations who provide benefits to their employees, developing the same opportunity to leverage this technology to provide this type of protection opportunity to guide them, no matter where their employees may be in the world, that they have access to friendly places. So we're really looking at, this as a standard, even making Black friendly a standard that everyone pursues as how they do business, making sure that our community, 1.5 billion people on the planet, can go, anywhere in the world fearlessly and not be afraid of being harmed or humiliated. And we think that's something valuable, worthwhile enough to, again, leverage the best and latest technology in the world to make sure that's possible. And that's through, we always hear about all these new technologies. The bottom line is we want to make sure that we're the ones doing the innovation, not somebody innovating on us. So with that being said, we also have coming up our Black Blockchain Summit. That's something that we've been hosting now for 6 years. And in the tech space, I'm an engineer by profession. My co-founder is also an engineer, two Howard University engineering grads, taking our love for our people and our love for our collective work. One of the big things that we've done is actually do a lot of innovation in the blockchain space. that being said, we have a Black Blockchain Summit at Howard University, and it's coming back at September 21st to the 23rd. We're going to have some of the biggest names in the industry coming back at you to make sure that you're up to date on what's happening in this particular industry. And again, this is our style is literally taking technology and solving problems in our community. So we take folks, experts in applied sciences like engineering, computer science, IT professionals, and then we match them with folks in social sciences like social work, sociology, psychology, and we actually bring them together to take a look at some of the existing problems in our community and making sure that we are leveraging the most innovative and latest solutions to those old problems. And one of the things that we're looking at this year is literally urban gun violence, urban illegal gun violence. So many of the much of the guns many of the guns that we see in our community are illegal, and those guns are being used to murder us. So our thought is that we can use this technology, blockchain, to help us track some of this activity in a way that allows us to effectively prevent those murders from taking place. There's technology out there already, like Shot Spotter, where after somebody's shot and murdered, that there's a way to track that sound. But what we think, leveraging the current technology, we can actually track that before it actually happens. And I think it's one of those things where right now there's technology leveraging big data that can actually predict if a woman's pregnant in her first trimester before she's even aware of it. And there's ways that that's done leveraging information from just collected from folks' phones. So I think the big thing is maximizing the ability to track that prior to it happening, as well as making sure the privacy of our community is maintained. Again, our data is being collected on us every nanosecond, and that information is not being used to help us. Is oftentimes used to harm, to exploit us. Our thought is that if we could be the ones that, again, doing the innovation, we can figure out ways to leverage that leverage that information to actually protect us. So these are things that come out of the conversations of our Black Blockchain Summit. Shout out to co-founder John Karanja, based out of Nairobi. So we're definitely coming out with a white paper. And the white paper is just a little short summary of the concept behind this about stopping illegal gun violence in the urban community. And we'll be bringing and convening some of the best and brightest minds who are dealing with the issue of gun violence, who are dealing with the issues, dealing with technology and how to actually do the tracking and the supply chain using this blockchain technology. And again, I'm saying tracking, but really there's a use case for blockchain for supply chain. That's just delivery of goods and services, and that those deliveries, there's a start and there's a finish. So, you've heard people say from farm to fork. Well, that's the supply chain. So there's a farm where they grow something, and then it has to be some type of secondary, manufacturing or processing done, and then another process, and then it's all distributed. All those are part of a supply chain that we can actually track and literally know where and when activities are happening to that said farm product. Well, all the way till it gets to your plate. So with that being said, it actually can guarantee the authenticity or help with managing authenticity of said product, a commodity from the farm. We're looking at something very similar to that as it relates to tracking these illegal guns and making sure that, again, that process is disrupted, because we don't want one of our brothers and sisters harmed or killed by these illegal handguns. And that being said, again, it's, technology is neither good nor bad. At the end of the day, it's in our hands. And so we want the innovation to be in our hands, not someone else's. And so these are the things so often are lost when people are talking about blockchain and Bitcoin, because again, in this capitalist system, which is very problematic, like, again, we're going to have some experts come in here and talk about how problematic, instead of mastering a system that's so wicked, what we need to do is understand it well enough where we could actually replace it. And I'm not saying you have to replace it with socialism, communism, or anyism, but we have enough wonderful brains on the planet to realize that, 1,000 years is such a system is probably 1,000 year too long, and that there's a need for something better. And with that being said, I think it's very important that we use any opportunity in our community to protect each other, help each other, to come up with something more viable than the current system that we're looking at. And again, some of that is called first principles. They talk about in technology, you go back to the root of a problem, and we ask ourselves, how did our people interact with each other, where we didn't shoot each other like we shoot each other, kill each other like we do right now. And when you start looking at that, you realize that there's been, the development of the human race could not have happened if we were just killing each other every day. We would still be living a very different life. But there's some real, serious study out there that talks about how colonialism, this capitalist system, underdeveloped the world. If you have people going around killing folks for rocks called gold, you can see how quickly all the development of the world could actually go in the wrong direction, because now, instead of focusing on how to self-actualize and be the best that we can in honor of a god, or honor of the best space we can be in, we're now digging in the ground for rocks that actually only have value because of consensus. Meaning, we just have to say it, because you can't eat gold. When we had the pandemic, the person with the most goats or the most gold, the person with the most goats will probably win when you can't do anything. You can't eat it. So in a real way, we've actually created an ideology or worldview that may in itself be problematic for our survival. So some of the work that we do, we try to make sure that we use it to demystify the technology, one, and make it so that it's germane or relevant or pertinent to our everyday lives, as well as not get distracted by the monies that oftentimes get us in a capitalist trap, and in a way that doesn't allow us to effectively change our condition. You might be able to change your address or change your car, but the conditions that we live in will still be the same unless we actually have a more rigorous perspective on where we are and how we got here. So with that, the Black Blockchain Summit, again, September 21st to 23rd, is always free for students. We charge a nominal fee for anyone who participates, just to make sure we can cover our expenses. Howard University is always a great experience for those who haven't been to Howard. Just a great opportunity to be around amazing people. So many times when people think about Blackness, they try to make it seem very narrow. But again, if it's 1.5 billion people, that's like the size of China. So we have our people from all over the world, all walks of life, who come here to learn, to share, and to grow. And we do it in the context of using technology to solve problems in our community. So definitely make sure you come out and be a part of that. Another thing that's been big that we haven't done enough of, we've come out with, I think it's our 4th edition of the Global Green Book, and our focus is still on healthcare. So out of, again, so many of these recommended safe places we've identified with Dr. Anana Akua, she's been amazing. Shout out, and she's an HU grad, super amazing sister. She's helped with this second edition of the book, the Global Green Book. Please make sure you go to Amazon. You can check us out there. It's definitely something worthwhile. We try to make sure each edition is similar to something that Benjamin Banneker, he had came up with an almanac where it had information in it that was very helpful, but it also was more than just a book of information. It actually spoke to the conditions and interesting perspectives on the life of our people. So we try to make sure that we add information that's helpful as well as colorful. Like I think in this edition, we talk about HBCUs as well as African universities. The nexus between historically Black colleges and African universities in Africa. And, unfortunately, just like in the United States, some of these universities may have Black faces, but their curriculums and how they were built was built on a colonial model that was meant to to maintain slavery or maintain colonialism and not liberation. Safety net to protect us, to also bring in other information that would be quite helpful to our communities that we may not have thought about or have access to. So what we're building in this tech startup and this movement, again, is literally creating a global world where our people can move about safely and fearlessly with a level of pride and dignity that we deserve. And of course, if you haven't had a chance, please check out every Saturday we have our Saturday meetings, and they're international meetings where we have members from literally all over the country, all over the world participating. And when I say country, United States, all over the world, that they give feedback of what's been going on in their communities as it relates to I Love Black People and how we all can do more to participate. So that's every Saturday we have that. We have Dr. Tyree Wright, who's a professor at CUNY, as well as a Tuskegee grad, Tuskegee grad, as well as Dr. Anana Akua, HU grad, and we definitely we enjoy this because it actually gives our community a chance to kind of get together and gather, as well as refocus on what we need to get done for that week. I want to make sure before we have this next big iteration of our app available, we want to have as many Black-friendly businesses identified so people can use the app to the fullest. And with that being said, I just want to thank everyone who supports us and those who just might be listening in. Thank you for taking the opportunity to share this precious time that we have together with I Love Black People Radio. And as I always leave with, I am because we are, and I wouldn't be me without you. So thank you, everyone who's been supportive.
This is I Love Black People Radio on HUR Voices, Sirius XM, Channel 141. I Love Black People is more than a radio show. I Love Black People is a call from our ancestors to protect us from racial profiling all across the world. Go to iloveblackpeople.com and become a member today. Membership empowers you to live fearlessly and protect Black people globally from racism and xenophobia. Join us today and become a member of our global network with an online global green book with Black-owned and Black-friendly businesses to protect you and your community. Membership is free, and with you, we will become 10 million strong worldwide. I am because we are. Special thanks to AFLAC for supporting I Love Black People